Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope you're doing good. First off, this update is very much about polish. You can feel that immediately. A lot of the changes are the kind you don't notice unless they're missing, which is honestly what you want at this stage. There were several text-related fixes across the game, including typos, spacing errors, and small inconsistencies in subtitles and menu descriptions. These might sound insignificant, but in a game that leans heavily on storytelling, tone, and immersion, even one awkward line of text can pull you out of the experience. Cleaning that up helps the game feel more intentional and complete, especially for players going through cutscenes carefully and paying attention to every detail. Beyond text, stability was clearly a priority here. Some players had been reporting occasional crashes or strange behavior during transitions, like moving between areas, loading checkpoints, or resuming the game after suspending it on console. This update addresses several of those issues behind the scenes. Konami didn't spell out every single fix line by line, but based on player reports after the patch, those random freezes and unexpected crashes are happening far less often now. It's one of those improvements where you don't really celebrate it. You just quietly appreciate that the game behaves the way it should. There were also a few minor gameplay-related fixes that smooth things out without changing how the game fundamentally plays. Certain interactions that could behave inconsistently, like contextual prompts not appearing correctly or animations momentarily desyncing, have been tightened up. Nothing here changes mechanics or difficulty, but it does make everything feel more responsive and reliable. When you're sneaking through tall grass or lining up a precise action, consistency matters, and this patch helps reinforce that. Performance tweaks are another subtle but important part of this update. Some players on all platforms had noticed small dips or uneven frame pacing in specific areas, especially during more complex scenes or when multiple systems were active at once. This update includes optimizations meant to smooth out those rough edges. You're not suddenly getting a dramatic boost in performance, but things feel steadier, and that alone can make the experience more enjoyable, especially during longer play sessions. Another thing worth mentioning is that this update seems very much like a maintenance pass rather than a feature update. There's no new content, no added modes, no reworked systems, and honestly, that's not a bad thing. At this point, the focus appears to be on making sure the foundation is solid. Fixing bugs, improving stability, and cleaning up presentation are all signs that the developers want the game to feel dependable and refined rather than rushed forward with unnecessary additions. It's also interesting how small this update is in terms of download size. That usually indicates targeted changes rather than sweeping modifications, and that lines up perfectly with what we're seeing here. This isn't about reinventing anything. It's about tightening bolts, smoothing seams, and making sure everything fits together the way it should have from the start. For returning players, this means fewer distractions and a cleaner overall experience. For new players jumping in now, they're getting a version of the game that's more stable and polished than it was at launch, even if the changes aren't immediately obvious. That's the kind of improvement that quietly builds trust over time. What really stands out to me is how this update reflects a careful, methodical approach. Instead of throwing out big, flashy changes, the developers are addressing the small stuff that actually affects how the game feels hour to hour. Fixing crashes, cleaning up text, smoothing performance, and improving reliability might not generate huge headlines, but they matter a lot more in the long run. So while this patch might not give you a brand new reason to replay the game from scratch, it does make every moment inside it feel a little better, a little cleaner, and a little more dependable. And sometimes, especially with a game as iconic and atmosphere-driven as this one, that's exactly what you want.